memoranda prepared by the state and the sentencing memo prepared by the defense, along with the attachments. By saying that, I don't mean to foreclose presentation of any evidence or reference to any of the material that's contained therein, but thought it would be helpful at the outset just to note that I have carefully reviewed all of those pleadings and the attachments. That said, why don't we start with the state? I know Attorney Durand, Attorney Hinckley, I don't know who wants to start. Yes.
And Your Honor, we did receive this morning an additional victim impact statement that I believe we have provided to Madam Clerk, and with your permission, we'd like to provide it to you, and if we can give you just a minute to look that over.
Absolutely.
There were other impact statements that were provided earlier as exhibits in the case.
And I take it this has been provided to the defense as well. So you want this to be submitted as part of the exhibits for the state?
That would be appreciated, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. We didn't want that letter to become lost in all of the facts and data that the
course.
court is about to receive. In 34 U.S.C. 10281, the United States Congress defined a mass shooting as a multiple homicide incident in which at least 3 victims are killed with a firearm during a single event and in one or more closely located areas. On August the 3rd of 2022, this defendant, Eric Sweeney, committed a mass shooting. Now, he has pled guilty to killing 3 victims, and under this definition, is a mass murderer. He took the lives of 25-year-old Kassandra Sweeney and her children, 4-year-old Benjamin and 23-month-old Mason. Your Honor, this court has referenced and reviewed the state's previously filed sentencing memorandum as well as the memorandum of law in this matter. We will not rehash the contents of those to their fullest extent, but we incorporate those filings into any remarks that we make today. In terms of sentencing, for the murder of these 3 victims that appear on your screen, for the murder of Kassandra Sweeney, charge ID 2348002, the state recommends a sentence of 35 years to life in the New Hampshire State Prison stand committed. We recommend that a total of 8 years of this sentence could be suspended from the minimum should the defendant complete certain rehabilitative steps during his incarceration. Specifically, we would recommend that 1 year of his minimum sentence be suspended should he complete a high school diploma. We note that as he stands here before you today, the defendant has been held pending trial for just over 3 years. During that time, he does not appear to have completed his high school education. He stands in front of this court with the same 9th grade education he had as the day when he was arrested. We would also recommend as to this sentence that 2 years of the minimum be suspended should he complete an associate's degree, and 5 years of the minimum sentence be suspended should he maintain good behavior during the first 15 years of his incarceration, beginning today. The state would define good behavior to the court as the defendant being free of all major disciplinary infractions, those encompassing seriousness category A, and having no more than 7 infractions in seriousness categories B and C combined. With respect to the murder charges related to Benjamin and to Mason Sweeney, the state filed notice of enhanced penalties, which require this court to impose mandatory minimum sentences of 35 years to life, pursuant to RSA 651-6, because of the fact that both of these victims were children under the age of 13. As to those charges, the state would recommend that a sentence is as follows. For the murder of Benjamin Sweeney, charge ID 2348003C, the state would recommend a sentence of 40 years to life in the New Hampshire State Prison, stand committed. This sentence to be served consecutive to charge ID 2348002, the murder of Kassandra Sweeney. The state would recommend that as to this sentence, a total of 5 years could be suspended from the minimum should the defendant complete certain conditions. Specifically, we would recommend 2 years of the minimum sentence be suspended should the defendant complete a vocational program approved by the Department of Corrections, and 3 years from the minimum sentence could be suspended if the defendant is of good behavior during years 15 to 30 of his incarceration. For the murder of Mason Sweeney, charge ID 2348004C, the state would recommend a sentence of 40 years to life in the New Hampshire State Prison, stand committed. The state recommends that this sentence be served consecutively to both other murder counts, charge ID 2348002 and 8003C. The state would recommend as to this sentence that a total of 5 years could be suspended from the minimum sentence should the defendant comply with and complete all recommended mental health treatment or counseling, including his use of any prescribed medications during the period of his incarceration. The fourth and final charge that the defendant has pled to in this case relates to the defendant taking and discarding the Taurus handgun that he used in the murder. For the charge of falsifying physical evidence, charge ID 2136113C, the state recommends a sentence of 3.5 to 7 years in the New Hampshire State Prison. This sentence would be consecutive to all other sentences, but would be suspended and held over the defendant for a period of 10 years upon his release from the other sentences. As a condition of this charge, the defendant agrees to a no contact order as follows. He shall have no contact with any members of Kassandra Southwick Sweeney's family, including Kristen Southwick, Terrence Southwick, and Katrina Southwick Turnbull. And he shall have no contact with Sean Sweeney, his half-brother. In terms of other members of the Sweeney family, he should have no unsolicited contact with any of them, other than his mother, Heidi Sweeney. Pursuant to the defendant's plea, he agreed to additional conditions that must be and should be included in the court's sentence. First, the defendant agreed that he shall not profit in any manner for his role in committing these offenses, nor may he assign his rights to any monetary profit or financial benefit to anyone else. Specifically, he may not accept any payment, enter into contract, or sell rights to books, films, television shows, radio shows, websites, podcasts, or any writing, recording, broadcast, or internet post relating to the murders of Kassandra Sweeney, Benjamin Sweeney, and Mason Sweeney, or to the defendant's actions therein. Further, the defendant will pay restitution to New Hampshire Victims' Compensation in the amount of $29,290.88. The defendant, Your Honor, in this case, as he stands before you for sentencing, has a credit for pretrial confinement of 1,158 days. The state notes that under our recommended sentence, the defendant is and remains eligible for any reduction of sentence up to 21 months pursuant to the statute for earned time credit, RSA 651A 22A. The defendant would also be able to apply for an additional suspension of his sentence after serving 2/3 of it under RSA 65120. The sentence recommended by the state is supported by the facts of this case. It considers aggravating and mitigating factors, takes into account the defendant's youth and his traumatic childhood, and recognizes the damage he caused with his actions in shooting and killing 3 innocent people. On August the 3rd of 2022, between 10:55 a.m. and 10:59 a.m., in 4 minutes, the defendant took a handgun from a locked safe, loaded a magazine into that weapon, readied it to fire, and brought it with him to the kitchen of his home at 56 Weathersfield Drive in Northfield. He held it concealed in a bath towel along with his pajamas, and then he aimed and he fired it 6 times. From evidence on the scene, the defendant targeted his youngest victims first. Your Honor, during the plea hearing, the state used this diagram that is on your screen to
Actually,
show the court the crime scene.
for some reason, it's not appearing on my screen.
I apologize, Your Honor.
No problem. I just want to make sure. I know you referenced, or I didn't want to interrupt you. You referenced the images of the victims, and my screen wasn't operating then either.
Oh, I know what's happening. I apologize. Give me 1 second, Your Honor. Have to find it on this new computer. Yeah. It's on dual screen. I just need to turn it off. Let me see if it's working now. Display. I apologize, Your Honor. Give me 1 moment.
Oh, no, take your time.
There we go.
Yes, I can see it now. Is defense able to see it as well?
Yes.
Great, thanks.
And I apologize, Your Honor. This was the image that should have been on your screen while I was speaking earlier. Your Honor, during the plea hearing, the state used this diagram to show the court the crime scene. Today, the state has provided the court with some photographs that show some of the aftermath of the defendant's actions. Your Honor, you have some of those photographs up at the bench with you. There are some others that will display on the screen. Or you should. I
And the other
apologize.
images. Did you want me to reference them?
That would, I will walk the court through
Yeah,
the photographs that we
absolutely.
have. You should have the entire packet, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay. Do you want me to start referencing those photographs?
Yes, Your Honor. We'd be moving to your third photograph, I believe.
Okay.
First, the defendant killed 4-year-old Benjamin Sweeney, dead in his dinosaur costume, shot in the head at close range, gunpowder particles on the hood that covered his face when he fell. Next, he turned to 23-month-old Mason Sweeney. Evidence on the scene shows that he fired multiple times in Mason's direction. Your Honor, you have the photos that are on your screen in your packet as well. 3 of the shots that were fired in Mason's direction struck and penetrated the corner wall that separated the kitchen and the living room of this home. Each of those shots hit at a height of 18 inches or less from the floor, at a downward angle, some skimming the floor in the living room, each bullet seeking out a target low to the ground, a small child, Mason. A 4th bullet fired in that direction struck Mason in the head, shot dead in his pajamas. The bullet recovered from the baseboard, here, in this same wall. Finally, the defendant shot and killed Kassandra Sweeney, a mom, a nursing assistant, the defendant's guardian. He shot her in the face as she looked at him. He shot her in the face after she watched her babies die. He shot her at close range, gunpowder particles searing into her skin. She fell to the ground between her children, foot to foot with Benjamin, head to head with Mason, her hair falling onto, over, and covering Mason's right arm. In the defendant's sentencing memorandum, they describe in paragraph 189 how the defendant fondly remembers Benjamin and Mason as they called to him and ran to him when he came home from school. They describe how he loved them and how he loved Kassandra and Sean, that he has to grapple with these consequences forever. But the defendant caused this. He made the choice. He made the decision to shoot 6 times, to kill the people he now professes to have loved. That day, when Ben ran over to him in the kitchen, the defendant shot him in the head. That day, when Mason called to him from the dining room, the defendant approached and shot him in the head. That day, when Kassandra was standing at the dining table, he shot her in the head. He showed no fondness, no kindness, no love. He showed brutality. He demonstrated hatred and violence. These killings were unprovoked and senseless. They were heinous. He took the lives of 2 children who had barely begun to live. He stole their futures. These little boys, the ones we can all see, whose parents were doing everything to give them a happy and a safe childhood. They hadn't begun school. They wanted to be dinosaurs. They were brothers. They were best friends. Your Honor, the volume did not work in that video. I'm going to need a minute to fix the other one. But in this video, Benjamin looks at Mason and explains to his mom how much he loves him because Mason's his best friend. Let me see if I can get that on the screen, Your Honor. I'm not sure if I can. Honor, the defendant destroyed Benjamin and Mason and Cassandra's love with 6 pulls of a trigger. The defendant's actions took away every hope and every dream that they and that their families had for them. His actions destroyed the chance that these children had to become, to learn, to grow up and explore the world. His actions left their cousins, aunts, grandparents, and father with only memories of their joy and of their enthusiasm. In a second video, and I'll play the audio, Your Honor, since we're having some technical difficulties. Benjamin and Mason are looking out the front window of their playroom. This video was recorded at 10:08 in the morning of August the 3rd of 2022. At approximately 10:52, just minutes before the defendant opened fire, Kassandra sent this video to Sean and to her mother.
It's not a hedgehog.
See if it's snappy tail.
Your Honor, if the court would like to take a minute to overcome my technical difficulties, I can play them directly for you, or they are available in case lines. Your Honor,
Did you want me to take, if we're having technical issues and you want me to take a minute to look at it, I'm happy to do that. So which exhibit and case lines?
I believe they're going to be 13 and 14. You know, for the record, it was a groundhog.
Just somehow lost the connection.
I think we might have it, but it's actually my dual display. So be extended. Wait, I think I got it.
I heard the audio when you were playing it, and I've just able to watch the video right now. Both videos, 13 and 14. I don't know if you're able to display them.
Yes. I got it to work, Your Honor.
Okay.
Audio is still not working. Your Honor, the videos are playing, and I'm going to play them so the family can see them. but
Of
the
course,
audio is
of
not
course,
playing with them.
of course.
Your Honor, this video, as it continues to play in the background, this is the last image this family was sent of Benjamin and Mason. This audio is the last recording that they have of Kassandra's voice with her children. This is the last memory the family has of their innocence and of their love. This is the last memento that they can hold on to of these two little boys and Kassandra. Kassandra and Sean volunteered to take the defendant in, to become his guardians. Kassandra was a driving force behind that. She handled his appointments and his care. She wanted the defendant to be loved and safe, just like she wanted her own children to be loved and safe. In the defense sentencing memorandum, the defendant describes that the day he moved in with them was the happiest day of his life. It was his escape. The happiest day of his life led to a nightmare for Sean Sweeney and to the worst days for this family. They have no escape, only grief. By his own actions, by his own choice, the defendant destroyed them all. The defendant killed 3 people, and he destroyed the lives of so many more. He murdered and betrayed people who had stepped up to be his family. He pulled out a gun, and he destroyed that. He killed them. It was his choice, his action, and his actions alone. The state recognizes that the defendant was a juvenile at the time that these murders occurred, but his youth does not excuse his action. His youth does not negate his guilt. This court is vested with discretion to fashion just sentences that comport with all of the goals of sentencing: punishment, deterrence, and rehabilitation. The defendant's youth when he committed murders does not and should not eclipse the enormity of his multiple crimes and of the harms that each one of these crimes has caused. Here, the state is asking for sentences vastly different than what we would ask for and which would be imposed with respect to a defendant who committed these crimes while an adult. As this court is well aware, in any similar case involving an adult offender, the state would be standing in front of you asking this court to impose 3 separate consecutive sentences, ranging from 40 to 50 years in life. An adult defendant would see a total sentence between 120 and 150 years to life, with no recommendations for time off for rehabilitative efforts. The state would be well within reason to make that request, well within range of other comparable murder cases. But instead, the state has taken into account the defendant, his youth, his traumatic childhood, a childhood that was horrible to bear, but that does not excuse his actions on August the 3rd of 2022. The state is well aware of the trauma and the hardships that the defendant endured as a child that resulted in his being taken in by Kassandra and Sean. We've reviewed the records as well as the information discussed in the defense sentencing memorandum. We are aware of the testimony that the defense intends to put on at this hearing. As this court is aware from records in this case, we've also reviewed records of the defendant's own involvement in the juvenile system as an offender. There is nothing about the defendant's trauma or past that negates the choices he made on August the 3rd of 2022. Nothing negates the unmitigated violence, the unprovoked attack that he unleashed that day on Kassandra, Benjamin, and Mason. And nothing negates the need for a lengthy sentence. Nothing negates the court's ability to impose a lengthy sentence. This state is seeking sentences for each of the defendant's crimes that properly reflect the enormity of the loss that has been suffered and the gravity of the defendant's actions. The state's combined recommended sentences may amount to what has been called or referred to as a de facto term of life. That results solely because of the defendant's multiple and separate acts of murder. Each recommended sentence for each separate act consists of a term of years up to life with a corresponding minimum term that would be reached decades before the end of the defendant's life expectancy. Further, each sentence incorporates opportunities for the defendant to reduce his minimum sentence by taking rehabilitative steps and allows the defendant to take advantage of further available statutory reductions. The defendant's request for concurrent sentences of 40 years to life for these 3 separate murders disregards the lives of these 3 separate murder victims. It is an extraordinarily lenient sentence request that disregards comparable cases, disregards the legislative intent to treat people who murder children more seriously than other offenders. It ignores statutory provisions such as earned time credit, such as the sentence reduction available under 651.20. In fact, if you consider those 2 reductions and the defendant's request, under the defendant's proposed sentence, the defendant may and could walk out of prison in 25 years for these offenses, should he take advantage of all statutory reductions. The defendant's sentencing memorandum and the resulting analysis of the possible sentences that this court can impose for these 3 separate murders focuses solely on a Miller analysis. As this court is aware, and as the state addressed in detail in its memorandum of law, the line of cases dealing with the sentencing of juveniles did not start, nor did it end with Miller. The United States Supreme Court's most recent substantive decision on the matter was in 2021 in Jones versus Mississippi. The defendant's analysis is expressly curtailed by the Supreme Court's decision in Jones, a case which was never discussed in the defendant's memorandum. There, in Jones, the court unmistakably determined that the 8th Amendment only requires that juvenile offenders facing a possibility of a life sentence with no possibility of release be provided an opportunity to seek or request a lesser sentence, regardless of whether that opportunity is actually granted by the sentencing court. In Jones, the court held that a state's discretionary sentencing system is both constitutionally necessary and constitutionally sufficient. After Jones, and in line with Miller, the 8th Amendment does not require a court to engage in any particular process when sentencing a juvenile offender. So long as this court engages in a discretionary sentencing process that results in a discretionary sentence that takes into account the defendant's youth, Miller is not violated and the sentence is constitutionally sound. The state's recommended sentences take into account the defendant's youth, his background, as well as his heinous crimes and the goals of sentencing, including and even emphasizing rehabilitation. These considerations have been briefed in the memorandums that we submitted prior to the hearing. The state's recommended sentences also take into account the many aggravating factors that are identified in our memorandum, including the number of victims, their age and their innocence, the defendant's use of a deadly weapon, the defendant's secretive actions in obtaining the handgun, the defendant's repeated, consistent denials of involvement in the murders of these 3 innocent victims. It bears repeating that this defendant cast blame on an unknown, unidentified, non-existent burglar, a story that he crafted within 20 minutes of leaving his victims dead on the floor in their home, a story he maintained for 3 years, denying his involvement and his responsibility right up until the entry of his guilty plea on August the 15th of this year. There are many family members present today in this courtroom. There are many members of law enforcement. Several family members and many law enforcement have been present at court hearings over the past 3 years. There are many more family members who will not be here, who cannot be here, whose grief and whose anger preclude their presence. There are many that the court will hear from who are in this courtroom and others in this courtroom who have submitted victim impact statements in advance of this hearing. The court has had an opportunity to review those. The statements that have been submitted include aunts, uncles, cousins, family friends from all sides of this family, Sweeneys and Southwicks. They discuss the unimaginable grief that they have suffered, the innocence of these victims, the shock of these crimes. Without exception, they describe the love that everyone held for Kassandra, Benjamin, and Mason, the weight of the permanent wound caused by their loss. One letter, written by a now 11-year-old child, describes how the murder of his cousins has made him angry and afraid to trust people. One, written by a mother, describes how these murders have changed how she looks at the world, that just lying on the floor to play with her child reminds her of these victims lying on the floor in death. She talks about watching the grief of Kassandra's parents as they watch this writer love on her own child and miss out on loving theirs. The statements also talk about the great strength that the family has found to survive this horrific loss. And they ask this court to impose a strong sentence to honor the lives of these victims, to represent the serious pain caused by their murders, and to fulfill an unshakable need that they have for justice, for a crime that stole 3 beautiful people and ripped apart the lives of this entire family. Sean Sweeney, Kassandra's husband, father to Benjamin and Mason, has indicated that he has nothing to say to this defendant, and that there is no resolution that will ever be good enough. Your Honor, we do have with us here in court today approximately 11 family members who wish to make statements to the court. Each of their statements reflect their love, again, of Kassandra, Benjamin, and Mason, and their grief. These statements show the betrayal this family feels because of the defendant's actions of a person they welcomed into their lives as one of their own. The statement that we have provided you this morning does not begin to address the impact that this defendant's heinous murders have had on this family, these friends, or the community as a whole. After you have heard from these family members and their friends, we ask you to impose the state's recommended sentences for the murders of Kassandra Sweeney, Benjamin Sweeney, and Mason Sweeney, and for the charge of falsifying physical evidence. This sentence is constitutional, it is allowed, and it would send a message to the defendant and to the community that a person who murders 3 people, who destroys a family for no reason, will be punished with a significant sentence. It will show that killing 2 little kids and their mom warrants consecutive sentences, recognizing the taking of each individual life, including the lives of 2 children who the legislature has deemed to be in need of being punished stronger, as well as each person's individual potential. Your Honor, with respect to victim impact statements, I believe we first have Nicole Goyette. This is Kassandra's aunt, and she would be the great aunt to Benjamin and to Mason.
Okay. Thank you. And let me just say, as we hear from individual family members or people who want to address the court, I want to make sure that people have time, whatever time they need to do that. So if you could just state your full name and spell your last name so we have a record of everybody's name. But I appreciate anyone, even people who weren't prepared to address, who want to speak, if they're family members or within the victim's family, I'll certainly give them that opportunity to do that as well. Yes, so good morning, ma'am. Thank you for being here. And if you would just, again, state your full name and spell your last name for the record.
Nicole Goyette, Goyette.
Thank you.
Okay. Hello, my name is Nicole Goyette, otherwise known as Nini to a select few. I am Kassandra's aunt and godmother. I am Benjamin and Mason's aunt. I stand here before you today to honor their legacy and let them never to be forgotten. Say their names. Kassandra Ray Sweeney. Who was Kassandra, some people ask. She was the most genuine, loving, sassy, fiercely loyal person I knew. Her laugh could light up the room. I remember the night Kassandra was born. I was there at Concord Hospital, waiting to be one of the first people to meet her. Her childhood was spent playing sports, loving her dogs, and spending quality time with family. I have such fond memories of all the camping trips we took as she was a child. Kassandra's birthday was July 17th, so we spent many trips and summers celebrating her birthday. As she grew up, her love for her family grew, and her passion for helping others also grew. Kassandra was always one to lend a hand, whether it be for watching my dogs while I was on vacation, helping me move into my new home, or spending some one-on-one time with her Nana. Then Kassandra became a wife and a mother to Ben and Mason. I have never seen her so happy. She's thrived in these roles. She loved the holidays and creating memories with the boys. She had 7 Christmas trees and decorated so early that they could all enjoy the holiday season. I am so mad that I don't get to see her and spend more time in this role. It was cut too short, and we were all robbed of the memories to be made. Say their names. Benjamin Michael Sweeney. Oh, this little boy who had the biggest heart and smile could light up the room. Ben was so inquisitive and smart beyond his years. He was excited to go to school and riding the school bus. He would have started 2nd grade this year. His life was cut too short, so he never knew or got to experience any of this. We were robbed of seeing him grow and shine into the star I knew he would have been. Say their names. Mason Lee Sweeney. He only got to experience so little in his short 23 months of life. Boy, did he love his dogs and love to snack and eat. He would light up when he saw his big brother Ben or his mommy. I loved his snuggles and his hugs. I wonder what he would be doing this year, starting kindergarten this year. We will never know because we were robbed of these chances. I miss my 3 angels more than words can define. The loss of them has created havoc in our family that no family should have to endure. I have personally experienced nightmares, insomnia, mental health issues, and missing time from work. My heart skips a beat if a family member doesn't answer the phone, and my mind goes to the worst place that something has happened to them. My 81-year-old mother has never been the same since the day her 3 grandchildren were taken from her. Her health and cognition have significantly declined due to this trauma we have endured. My family will never get the chance to celebrate another birthday, another holiday, or another milestone of the boys. We will never receive another phone call, another text message, or I love you from Kassandra. I will never get to exchange recipes or cooking tips with Kassandra. We will never be able to share our love again of new cleaning products. I will never get another video of the boys finding the joy and simple day-to-day pleasures of this life. This is all gone, and we can never get it again. August 3rd, 2022. Time will always be divided into before the incident and after the incident. Incident, death, passing. No, it was a horrible murder of my 3 loved ones. And Eric, you are all to blame for this. I play that day out in my mind all the time. It was a normal Wednesday. I had gone to work. I was packed and getting ready to head away for the weekend with friends. I even remember the last video I received of the boys looking outside at the hedgehogs. Late that afternoon, as my phone started exploding with calls and texts, as Kassandra couldn't be reached and wasn't responding to calls and texts, which was not like her. The news reported a triple homicide in Northfield, New Hampshire. This is where they lived. Reporting it was on her road. Reporting it was a woman and 2 juveniles. It didn't make any sense at the time. My head was spinning, and I can't tell you the size of the pit I had in my stomach. But it was all going to be okay because things like this didn't happen to my family. But this day it did, and it would never be the same. I had hopped into my car, racing up Interstate 93 to Northfield. I was determined to get answers to go see them and get to the bottom of this. I was racing down the highway when my phone rang at exit 17, and I received the call that no one should ever have to receive. Gone. All 3 of them were gone. And just like that, my heart shattered into a million little pieces. Eric, I don't have a lot of things to say to you because you aren't worth my time and energy. You are a heartless, sociopathic coward who doesn't deserve to be here, but somehow you are. I can't believe at one time in my life you were allowed to call me Nini. That was an honor you received. I take that back. You are never allowed room in my heart to call me that. That is an honor that I reserve for people that I love and care about, not for a person who I despise and only hope the worst for. I can only hope that the judge hears our words and agrees with us that you need to be locked up for as long as allows. Kassandra Ray Sweeney, Benjamin Michael Sweeney, and Mason Sweeney, I will love you all forever and a day, and I will never stop fighting for justice for you, and I will always say your name so no one forgets you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Goyette.
Thank you.
Your Honor, next is Chantel Lee. She's an aunt to Kassandra and a great aunt to Ben and Mason.
Good morning, ma'am.
Hi.
Hi.
Chantel Labrie, Labrie. If there is any greater pain than losing someone you love to a homicide, I surely can't imagine what that is. But that's what happened to my family on August 3rd, 2022. Kassandra, Ben, and Mason were all taken from us that day. They didn't pass away. It wasn't an illness or an accident. They were taken from us. For 3 years now, we've been desperately grasping to our memories of Cass and the boys. It's all we have, and let me tell you, it's not nearly enough. No sentence that Eric serves will ever be enough. We will always be left with 3 holes that cannot be filled again. My best memories of Kassandra go back to when she was a little girl. There were cousin sleepovers with my 2 girls, camping trips, family outings, birthday parties, and holidays. For several years, it was a tradition to take a family trip up to Santa's village for Cass's birthday. We would stop at the Flume for a picnic and cupcakes before making our way to the park. We would spend the night at the hotel across the street so we could go back again the next day. I have fond memories of watching Cass play softball and of bringing ice cream sandwiches to her and her teammates. I remember how pretty she looked for her high school prom, and I remember watching her high school romance growing into her love story with Sean. She was a beautiful bride, and we were all so happy then. The following year, Ben was born and Cass became a mom. I can't think of anything she treasured more. Ben was a beautiful baby and was growing into a very smart and funny little boy. He loved his mommy and daddy, his nana and his papa, his dinosaurs, and his doggies, Daisy and Moose. A few years later came Mason, and again Cass became a mom. Her life was full. We had Mason for such a short time, but he was a silly and sweet little boy. He sure loved his big brother, and he was the apple of Nana and Papa's eye. It's hard to wrap my head around the fact that he's been gone for longer than he was with us. Although I wanted this letter to be about Cass and the boys, I can't conclude without telling Eric how much hatred we feel for him and what he has taken from us. Although no sentence he serves will ever be long enough to satisfy us, to be enough for Cass and Ben and Mason and for the futures they lost, I do get some satisfaction for knowing what life Eric has left will be a miserable one. And when he dies, he will be alone with no one and nothing. You did not break us, Eric Sweeney. You made us stronger as a family. We will all see Kassandra again and the boys up in heaven. May you spend the rest of your eternity in hell.
Thank you, Miss Labrie.
The next statement is from Kristen Southwick. She is Kassandra's mom and Ben and Mason's grandmother. Our advocate will be reading her letter.
And I'm sorry, the last name again?
Southwick.
Southwick.
My name is Kristen Southwick. I'm Cassandra's mother and Ben and Mason's nana. Kassandra was my baby girl. No matter how old she became, I will always think of her that way. Kassandra was beautiful inside and out. She was smart, funny, loving, sassy, loyal, and she loved her family fiercely. I am so proud of the woman she became. She was a great mother. She was such a natural. Ben was my first grandchild. He made me a nana. I was there when he was born. I fed him his first bottle. Ben had a smile that would light up any room. He was so warm, so smart, kind, and loving. He had a love for learning. I grieve not knowing who he would become. I know he would have done amazing things. Mason was not yet even 2 when you took him from us. He was sweet and loving. He loved his mom and dad and big brother.
Whatever Ben was doing, Ben was there wanting to do it too. He loved to go to the snack drawer when he visited Nana and Papa's house. Sundays were always family day at our home. Katrina and Nick, Cassandra and Sean, Ben, Mason, and Eric always came over bringing along Moose and Daisy. We would all have lunch together and just spend time together. You would often find us in our backyard, all watching the boys play on the many toys they had in our backyard for them. Some days, we would all go to the zoo or lake together. It didn't matter what we did because we were all together. Sometimes if I was having a bad day at work, Cassandra would stop by my work with the boys just to give me a hug and a kiss and say, "I love you." They were the light in my life. I will forever miss my daily texts, pictures, and phone calls from Cassandra. She would tell me what they were all up to, or simply just send a quick message that said, "I love you, Mama." The loss of Cassandra, Ben, and Mason has left an unbearable void. I relive the details of their death daily. I struggle to find joy in anything. We were robbed of our future with them. Cassandra, Ben, and Mason had so much living left to do. There are so many things they will never get to experience or do. You robbed us of all the precious time and memories of them, with them. Eric, your selfish, careless act has had lasting effect on all of our lives. We will continue to forever grieve, have sadness, anger, and trauma, and this all will continue to challenge our mental health. Eric, you are a coward who stood behind a gun. After everything Cassandra and Sean and we did for you, this is how you repay us. We tried to provide you with a family and love you never had. You now have no one. No one who loves you or cares about you. Your own parents didn't even want you. No punishment will ever be long enough for what you took from us. I hope every day in prison is a scare for you. I ask the judge to please give you the maximum sentence allowed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Southwick.
Your Honor, next is Peg Sweeney. She is Ben and Mason's great-grandmother.
Good morning, ma'am.
My name is Margaret. I go by Peg. Last name is Sweeney, Sweeney. Eric, look at me when I'm talking to you. You always did. I had considered you my grandson, even though there's no Sweeney blood running through your veins. Over the year, I showed you much kindness and love. I've taken you to our camps, brought you swimming, and even taught you to fish when you were 5 years old. I loved you as much as my natural grandchildren. I never used the words half or step because you were, in my heart, a full member of the family. I was every bit your gram. We always had good times and mutual love for one another. I enjoyed and looked forward to the times when you would stay with me and Gary, especially when you were struggling at home. You and I had connection. I did not experience your anger and believed that your heart was good. I taught what if lessons would help you make good decisions. I thought I was making a difference. I welcomed you and wanted you to stay at camp with me and Gary, to give you a break and give Sean and Cass a break when you were struggling. I thought that would give you time to regroup, and time with me would help you to understand that you mattered. Eric, to think of what you did to our family. Your half-brother Sean and his wife Cass invited you to live with them in their home with their children so that you could get away from the horrors of the life you were living. They wanted you to have a chance and wanted you to understand how to live life with integrity and morality.
They supported you because, like me, they saw you as family. They wanted to give you a better life. They clothed you. They made sure you had nurturing food, gave you your own room, cell phone, and supported your education. They signed you up for boys and girls clubs, they summer programs, and provided you with medical care, including counseling. They offered you consistency in the family and everything that you did not have. They did this out of love. Eric, having so much love for you, I was first shocked and saddened when I learned that in June 2020, at the age of 15, you stole a car and went joyriding at night. The police found you at your school with the car, and apparently you'd left a note to Sean and Cass that said you didn't belong in the Sweeney family, that you loved Big Brother and Sis, and bye. You admitted to lying, stealing, and disobeying house rules. You had hidden many handmade weapons in the house, and all the instances had the opportunity to get help. You were taken to Laconia Hospital for psych evaluation. We all hoped that the hospital would help you to get the help you needed so you could head in a better direction. But the team determined that you needed more psychological support they could provide and transferred you to Hampstead, where they send the worst of the worst. You had the opportunity to get help, but you lied to them so that they would think that you were all better. They called Sean and made him come and get you. He told them that you were saying what they wanted to hear and that you're still not safe to be discharged. However, they denied Sean's pleas and made him come and get you. I do not understand why all of that Sean and Cass gave you could not accept the rules, even if you thought they were too strict. All you did was fight over normal, everyday rules for a teenager. A short time after leaving Hampstead on August 3rd, 2022, just before 11 a.m., you murdered the people who gave you a home. You killed them all, 2 babies and their beautiful mother and loving wife. You destroyed more than the lives you stole. A part of us all died that day. The suffering is immense. So many families, friends of families, aunts, uncles, cousins. You broke the multitude, and we will never, ever be the same. Your destruction cannot be measured. It is beyond the furthest limits of outer space. You murdered my next generation. You shot 2 children and their mother in the head at close range. Only a monster would do something so horrific. In that moment, I lost my granddaughter, a loving, caring, nurturing woman with great sense of humor who loved life and family to its fullest. She took you in as a member of her family and included you in all the adventures. The boys loved you so much. You murderer. In cold blood, you killed my great-grandsons. Ben was only 4. He would be 7 in 2nd grade now. You murdered Mason, who was about to turn 2, whose birthday party was 2 weeks away. He would be 5 and starting kindergarten. You took the innocent lives of 2 little boys who never did anything to you. Again, they loved their uncle, they played with you, and you murdered them. 2 innocent, happy little children. You committed an evil and cruel act that never gave a reason why. You deceived us and me. After taking 3 lives in our family, you had the audacity to lie about your crime for 3 years while we all suffered the pain of losing them. We hurt inside beyond comprehension. We believed in you and thought you wanted to become a better person. However, you lied your way out of Hampstead Hospital. We knew you weren't ready, but we could not force you to get help. We never thought you would do what you did. You got yourself released, and then just a few weeks later, you did the unthinkable. You murdered my genealogy, the future generations of my family. You no longer deserve to carry the Sweeney name. You are not blood, and you are right. You do not belong in this family. We have one request. Do the right thing and change your last name. And do it and use any last name. Don't use any last name of the family. We need to have separation for our healing. You left me with more of a broken heart than you can imagine, especially given the bond that we had. You lied to me. Since the family tragedy, I've had 3 years of tears, and will have many, many, many more. Only I lost my granddaughter and my great-grandsons, but I lost all my affection for you. I no longer have any love for you. You alone destroyed any feelings I had. Now the only feelings I have are hatred, disdain, disappointment, disgust. You deserve to stay in prison until the day you die. I always said that hate was a strong word, but Eric, with what you took from me and my family, the word hate is not strong enough. I hate you to the innermost being. I won't ever visit you, write you, or reach out to you. You will sit in that prison the rest of your life with no visitors. You did this to yourself, and you justifiably deserve what you are in there, that you are in there. I won't even be your Graham again. You can erase Graham from your vocabulary. Most of us will have passed away even before you can even inquire about parole. I hope you never make it out, and I hope you die in prison. I say this to you, eye for eye. It took 3 lives from all of us. You put us all in prison of mourning, crying, and heart aching, in the prison of sorrow for the rest of our lives. When you left that note of 15 years, you said you didn't believe you belonged in our family because it was all lying, stealing, breaking the rules. You said you loved big brother and half sister, and then you said, bye. Why didn't you just kill yourself instead of my family? There's no way I can ever forgive you for your thoughtless, heinous crime. Rotten hell. In closing, Elvis Presley wrote a song, Lord, you gave me a mountain. And it's all about having a mountain that you'll never climb, because it's just not a hill any longer. You took my 3 rays of sunshine. You took my pride and my joys, and you took my reason for living. You took my little baby boys. You gave me an ocean of tears, heartache, and emptiness that will never end.
Thank you, Ms. Sweeney.
And our next is Cassandra Mason's cousin, Elizabeth Dawson.
Good morning.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Dawson, D-A-W-S-O-N. Your Honor, my name is Elizabeth, and I'm here today to speak on behalf of my cousin, Kassandra, and her 2 beautiful little boys, Benjamin and Mason. They were brutally taken from us by the monster sitting before us on August 3rd, 2022. That day began like any other. I'd recently started my first job as a newly graduated RN and was headed off to work early in the morning. The day was busy, and I ended up getting off later than usual, and I remember feeling exhausted and looking forward to getting home to see my husband and our children. As I walked to my car, my mom called, and I could immediately tell that something was wrong. Her tone, usually bright and cheery, was different. She asked if I was home. I told her no, that I had just gotten off work and was walking to my car. She asked me to call her back once I got home, but I insisted that she talk to me. After a long pause, my mom, through a choked voice, delivered the devastating news. Kassandra, Benjamin, and Mason were gone. I remember nervously laughing, praying that she was joking or that I had misheard her or something. I barely managed to choke out, "What? Oh my God, was it a car accident?" There was another pause before my mom told me what had really happened. My cousin and her boys had been murdered by the monster sitting in front of us. The drive home was a blur. I called my husband. My best friend called me, telling me she was going to come get me to take me to be with the rest of my family. When I finally got home, I stood in the driveway feeling sick and disoriented. I felt like I wasn't in my own body. The following days felt like a nightmare, one where you're stuck in place and everything just keeps moving around me. I kept praying that I would wake up, but I did not. The nightmare was my new reality. They were gone. In the midst of this devastating loss, and while dealing with my own grief, I had to break the news to my children that their Auntie Cass and their cousins had passed away. We called them Auntie and cousins because that felt right. My younger 3 children were not really old enough to fully understand at the time, but my 2 older children were deeply impacted. My oldest, who was almost 10 at the time, was significantly affected by this loss. She developed crippling anxiety following the news, constantly fearing that something might happen to me, my husband, or other loved ones. Although she's been in counseling and her anxiety symptoms have improved, she still struggles. Watching your child break down and cope with such profound loss is something I would never wish on another parent. The weight of these losses has also taken a toll on my mental health, and I still struggle with anxiety and nightmares. And I want everyone in this room who may not have known Cass, Ben, or Mason the way the family did to understand what has been lost. It feels almost impossible to capture the essence of the people who were such a huge part of my life with mere words, and I don't think I could ever find enough words to express what Cass and her boys meant to me and truly capture how amazing they were. However, I'm going to try to paint a picture of who these three beautiful souls were. Kassandra reminded me of myself. We were both second children, and I believe that's why we got along so well. Cass was stubborn, sassy, driven, generous, family-oriented, and above all else, kind. To those who met her, she was outgoing, her personality sparkling and full of life. She had the ability to walk into any room and light it up with her presence and laughter, her heart so big and generous that it seemed to expand to fill any space that she entered. Cass and I worked together for a while at DHHS, and those are some of my fondest memories. She made even the worst days bearable. I remember how excited she was when I got accepted into nursing school, cheering me on every step of the way. Kassandra was more than just my cousin. She was one of my best friends, there for me in every way that mattered. She was the kind of person who would drop everything if someone needed her. Watching her step into motherhood was one of the most beautiful things I've ever witnessed. The way she held her boys, the pride in her eyes, and the patience in her voice made it clear from the beginning that she was meant to be their mother. Those two beautiful boys were the center of her entire world. Benjamin was curious and smart beyond his years. He was always asking questions, eager to learn about the world. Just like his mother, his smile and laugh were infectious, and he radiated joy wherever he went. He loved to sing, be outside, play, make and build things, and just be silly. His favorite things were dinosaurs. He could name them all, and he'd correct you if you were wrong. I can still hear his little voice so confidently rattling off those names, his eyes shining with excitement. Benjamin also was a very proud big brother, and he loved his little baby brother Mason very much. Mason was sweet and full of life. In true second child fashion and taken after his mom, he was adventurous and energetic. He had the sweetest little giggle. This kid loved playing with his big brother, dancing, playing with his trucks, and exploring the world. He was also a huge fan of snacks, and he was obsessed with Baby Shark. The way his face would light up when the song played and the way he'd wiggle and dance is something that I'll never forget. He adored his big brother and wanted to do everything Benjamin did, but he also had his own special joy. Watching the two of them together was precious, and receiving pictures and videos from Cass of the two of them always brought a smile to my face. Now their laughter and joy are gone. The silence where their voices should be is unbearable. Holidays are especially painful. I think about the Christmas mornings where the boys should be tearing into wrapping paper while Kassandra watches with the biggest smile on her face, having picked out the perfect gifts. I think about birthdays where the family should be celebrating another year of life for the boys and watching them grow up. I think about how Cass was always and would continue to be beaming with pride at even the smallest milestones. Those moments, so ordinary for many, now feel like treasures we've lost forever. Every single day is harder without them. Family gatherings feel empty. No more Kassandra telling stories. No more Benjamin proudly sharing his dinosaur knowledge. No more Mason begging for snacks or dancing to Baby Shark. Ordinary days hurt because something so small, a toy on a store shelf, a favorite song, a place we once visited together, can suddenly break me all over again. Their absence is constant. It never leaves. I've since had 2 more children, and they will never get to know their Auntie Cass or their cousins Ben and Mason. That hurts. I didn't get to share the news with her that I got my position as a labor and delivery nurse, something I know Cass would have been over the moon excited for me about. That hurts. 3 long years of no random text messages, funny pictures and videos, TMIs, phone calls, family trips. That hurts. 3 empty seats at Katrina and Nick's wedding. That hurts. It all hurts. So much has been lost, and my family's lives will never be the same. Your Honor, no sentence will ever balance the scale. Nothing can ever undo what has been done. But when you make your decision, I ask you to remember who they were. Kassandra, a devoted mother with so much love to give. Benjamin, a bright and curious little boy. And Mason, a sweet and joyful child who deserved the chance to grow up. Their lives mattered. Their futures mattered. The loss suffered is immeasurable, and the hole their loss has left in our family can never be filled. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dawson.
The next statement is from Carrie Carr, who's a friend of the family.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Carrie Carr, C-A-R-R.
Thank you.
Empathetic, funny, kind, caring, smart, helpful, innocent. Psychopath, murderer, liar, worthless, nothing, guilty. Those are a few differences between that and Kassandra, one of 3 beautiful lives that he so brutally took. The Goyette girls, Nana, Chantel, Kristen, and Nicole, have been in my life forever. Before I was born, they took my mom and I in as family. And I don't remember anything without them, of course. Rebecca, Elizabeth, Katrina, and Kassandra, and I grew up together. Some of my best memories were the Halloween parties at the Southwicks, camping, playing wagon, and school, coming up with the craziest names, the family gatherings and Easter egg hunts, and so many more. Even though Kassandra was the youngest of all of us, she certainly kept up with us. She grew into a bright, bubbly woman and the best mom, a mother that I strongly admired when I had kids of my own. We took our kids to the lake a few times that summer and the summer before, and I'll never forget how much of a natural she was with Ben and Mason. She was one of the first to find out that my second pregnancy was another boy, and she's told me to welcome to boy momhood. Besides being an excellent mother to her boys, she was compassionate and caring to friends and family. In the early summer of 2022, after a traumatic experience of my own, Kassandra was one of the first people to reach out to me and offer comfort and support, despite the personal hell that she was dealing with at home with that. We made plans not to be strangers, to get our boys together more often, but we never got to make that happen because their lives were abruptly and brutally taken from them. He stole their future. He stole Kassandra's chance to raise her boys. He stole Ben and Mason's birthdays, school years, and the chance to be kids and to grow up and be whatever they wanted to be. Now when I look at my own boys, I often wonder how anyone could commit such a horrid act, and I still can't wrap my head around it. I've watched a family that I love and have loved forever, and my best friends be ripped apart emotionally, financially, socially, and more over the last 3 years. And yet they are strong. They are some of the strongest people that I have ever met. Stronger than you, Eric, will ever be. You might have thought you were strong and confident holding a gun. You might have felt confident fabricating your lie. Maybe even at YDC. Possibly even at county. But I bet you won't feel that strong in prison. I bet that's starting to break sitting with your backs turned to us. You will never know true strength. No amount of prison time can rehabilitate these acts that he committed. 30 years, 50, 90, life, it doesn't matter. Nothing can undo it. Age doesn't matter. A murderer is a murderer. 15, 16, 20, or 30 years old. Taking 3 innocent lives is taking 3 innocent lives. Prison is meant for rehabilitation, but I question every day,
if that can be rehabilitated. Eric, you may think that taking a plea deal was the easy way out, but the easy way out would have been ending your own life 3 years ago instead of these 3 beautiful people. May the big, hefty lifers in prison enjoy their time with you, the fresh, new meat.
Thank you, Ms. Carr.
Your Honor, the next letter is from Katie Nudd, Kassandra, Ben, and Mason's cousin.
My name is Katie Nudd, N-U-D-D.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Katie, and I'm a cousin of Kassandra, Benjamin, and Mason. I was fortunate enough to know and love these sweet souls who were taken from us by Eric Sweeney over 3 years ago. Nothing can ever prepare someone for the kind of news our family received on August 3rd, 2022. The pain of that day has never left us. We have all suffered deeply from the consequences of Eric's actions. Kassandra, Benjamin, and Mason have been missed and mourned over for 1,158 days, and they will continue to be loved, missed, and grieved for the rest of our lives. Nothing prepares you for the defeat in your mother's voice when she begs you to not leave the house because something terrible has happened. Nothing prepares you for the way she collapses into your arms, sobbing, as she tells you that your cousin and her 2 children were murdered in their own home. That moment replays in my mind constantly. It haunts me. We've lived through the hours, days, weeks, months, and now years, waiting for justice. Waiting while Eric took the time to accept a plea deal. Waiting for him to pay for these horrific crimes. He uprooted and destroyed our family, and he let us suffer in limbo for 1,158 days, only to see him make a deal, rather than to own up to the terrible pain he caused us all. How is this justice? This is the reality we now live in, a reality no one should have to bear. Our family has been shattered, and there is no going back. Kassandra, the best mother, your sweet, kind, loving soul was a light in our lives when we needed it most. Your presence brought comfort, joy, strength, and your absence is a weight I carry every single day. I love you, I miss you, and I will never forget you. Benjamin, he was the smartest little boy I've ever met. He used to name the colors of Legos on my living room floor before he could even form full sentences. I love you always, and I will forever miss the incredible young man he was gonna grow into. And Mason, the most cuddly, warm-hearted cousin. Thank you for always finding your way into my lap at every family gathering. Your snuggles, your giggles, your joyful little light. Those memories stay with me every day. I miss you deeply, and I will love you forever. Though they were taken from us far too soon, their love lives on in us, and we will carry them with us always. Your Honor, I ask you that you impose the maximum sentence possible, because anything less would fail to acknowledge the lives that were taken and the unimaginable pain our family continues to endure. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nudd.
Your Honor, next is Nick Turnbull, who would be Kassandra's brother-in-law. Being read by our advocate.
Okay. Great.
I'm Nick, Kassandra's brother-in-law, and Ben and Mason's uncle. I met those boys a week into dating Katrina, and I knew I loved them. They started calling me Uncle Nick by week 2. I loved spending time with them. Always played airplanes with Ben and played outside with both boys. They enjoyed going on walks. When they would FaceTime Katrina, they'd always ask to talk to me too. I love those boys with all my heart. I met Kassandra early in too, And for some reason, that sassy girl liked me. She would give great advice and just be fun to hang with. I grew up with a sister and was happy to gain another. She was probably the funniest person I knew. She could always make me laugh. Eric, you were family too. I will never understand what changed that for you. I will never understand why you took these 3 precious lives. You have impacted my life significantly. I may have only known them for 2 years, but you destroyed the family I became a part of. My wife has never been the same since she lost her sisters and nephews. She gets sad a lot, and it makes me sad. This has affected my marriage and us financially. Mom and Dad will never be the same either. Holidays are now sad without them, and no one smiles as bright. I think you deserve for them to lock you up and throw away the key. You took away not 1, but 3 incredible lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Turnbull.
Our next is Holly Sweeney. She is going to be Ben and Mason's step-grandmother.
Hi, I'm Holly Sweeney. It's Sweeney. I wrote something and I'm just going to read it because I'm really not good at this whole public speaking thing. But as I sat trying to put my thoughts in order, as this day arrived, I was troubled with all the emotions I have been experiencing these past 3 years. I have gone through every stage of grief, disbelief, pleading, anger, and yes, acceptance. In the past few weeks, I have been witness to some of the most horrific things happening in this world today, but also some of the most beautiful. And one thing that has occurred to me is that evil only wins if you let it. I refuse to let the evil of this world consume me. We don't have all the answers as to why things happen the way they do. We will one day. It would be easy to stand here and say hateful things, but that is letting evil win, and I refuse to let him win. I choose to forgive and be the person God wants us all to be, and to shut out the evil that tries to destroy me every day. I have faith that justice will be served in this life and the next. From the cross, Jesus said, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." I believe that people guided by evil only know to do evil acts. So I forgive because I will not let evil guide me towards evil acts. I choose to remember the things that make me smile, like Cass with her charismatic smile. It always made me laugh. She was the daughter that I have never been able to get. All boys. Benjamin with his incredible cuddles and always a smile for his grandma. And Mason with his silly giggles and just waiting to see the man that he was going to grow into as well. I will miscast Benjamin and Mason for the rest of my life, but I hold on to hope that they are in a far better place than this one where evil can't touch them anymore, like that evil there.
Thank you, Ms. Sweeney.
Our next is Jeff Sweeney. He is Ben and Mason's great uncle.
Good morning, Mr. Sweeney.
Good morning, Your Honor. Jeffrey Sweeney, Sweeney. I'm here today to speak for not just myself, but on behalf of the entire Sweeney family. It is difficult to find the words to describe the depth of our pain and anger. We are not only grieving the loss of 3 innocent lives, we are grieving what they could have been. 2 of them were children, little ones, who hadn't even had the chance to experience what the world, to dream, to grow, to laugh through the beautiful chaos of life. Their lives were stolen far too soon, and the pain never leaves us. But what cuts even deeper is the fact that this did not have to be dragged out for 3 years. We have been forced to relive this tragedy over and over again. You had the opportunity to take responsibility at the beginning, to plead guilty and give our family even the smallest sliver of peace. But instead, you force us to endure every grueling step of this process. That choice only deepened our wounds and prolonged our suffering. I want to make one thing very clear. You are not part of this family. You may have once shared our last name, but you are not a Sweeney. You do not carry our values of love, our legacy, The name that you disgrace does not belong to you. You lost any right to it the moment you chose to destroy lives. You didn't just take our loved ones, you shattered our family. You left behind pain that words cannot fully express. You took from us not only what we had, but what we could have had. Birthdays, graduations, holidays, futures. I no longer feel sadness when I think of you. I feel anger. And I believe that you should spend the rest of your life behind bars, where you will have no opportunity to harm another soul. I hope every day of your sentence reminds you of what you've done. I hope that you are haunted by the lives you stole, especially those of the children, every single day. Your Honor, let's not forget that Kassandra had to watch her 2 boys be slaughtered before her life was taken. We have to live with this pain forever, and I hope that he does too. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Sweeney.
The last speaker is Katrina Turnbull, Cass's sister.
Okay, and then after Ms. Turnbull, again, good morning to you, ma'am. We'll take a very short break, then we'll resume with the hearing. But absolutely.
My name is Katrina Turnbull, Turnbull. Hello, I'm Katrina, Kassandra's big sister, and Benjamin and Mason's Aunt Dean. The average man's life expectancy in the United States is 76 years, and women's is 80 years. You took at least 201 years of our angel's life from us. 201. Look at me in the eyes when I speak to you. Are you being a coward? You seem nervous when you aren't in control with a gun in your hand. I remember at just 3 years old, I wished for a sibling more than anything in the world. I originally wanted a brother, but was blessed with a sister. Since the moment I held her at the hospital, we had this bond you can never break. From that day on, I vowed to always protect her, because that's what big sisters do. A sibling is your first best friend, a link to your past, and supposed to be your future. A bond you can't describe. You love their kids like your own. Kassandra was just 25 years old when you selfishly decided to end her life. Kassandra was a wife, a mother, a sister, a daughter, a niece, a granddaughter, a cousin, and a friend. Kassandra was probably the sassiest person I knew with such motherly instincts. She was born to be a mother. She missed out on raising her boys to gentlemen. She missed years and years of her happy marriage. She was married to Sean for 5 years. She missed decorating for every holiday she enjoyed so much. She missed family milestones and birthdays. She missed being my maid of honor at my wedding. She missed helping me decorate my brand new house. And she missed meeting her dog niece, Luna. She missed being wonderful aunt to my future children, and they will be missing knowing her. She will miss doing mother-daughter dances at should have been her son's weddings. She will miss taking her kids to get their driver's license. She will miss being a grandparent. The list goes on and on, what you selfishly took away from her the day you pulled the trigger. Benjamin was just 4 years old when you decided his life wasn't worth living anymore. He took after his parents, forming such personality and great sense of humor. He loved numbers and was obsessed with clocks. He was a kind little boy with such a bright future ahead of him. He would have been an accountant. He's missing out on growing up, teenage years, college, marriage, family, and growing old. He will miss being a cousin to my children. He will miss the simple things like playing on sports teams and going to the prom. Mason was just shy of 2 years when you decided to end his life too. That boy could eat and eat. I think his future was going to be a competitive hot dog eater. He missed out on everything I mentioned above that Ben missed out on. He would have started kindergarten this year. He will miss being an older cousin to my kids. He loved dogs and would have loved Luna too if they got the chance to meet. He would never become potty trained, learn to tie his shoes, fall in love, get his first job, and so much more. These 3 precious lives weren't yours to take. You don't get to make those decisions. This was my family, my best friends. One of Ben's last words to me was, "Dean, you're my best friend." You took half my heart that day. You made a poor father bury his wife and kids, and a mother and father bury their daughter. They don't have a word for parents without kids because that should never happen. One profound thing about death is it never dies, because even though they physically aren't here, their hearts live through mine. Kassandra took you in, offered you a family and a life, and the boys loved you, but you didn't appreciate any of it. August 3rd, 2022 is when my whole life changed. Life as I knew it went up in flames. Imagine scrolling through Facebook at the end of the workday to see a news headline that a mother and 2 sons were found dead on the street your sister lived on. At first I thought, no way, and then time passed and panic started. My mom even asked if anyone knew what the house number was on Facebook. We were both so scared. Sean wouldn't answer the phone and text, and Kassandra wouldn't either. Nanny made the drive to Northfield to find answers. Then Sean called Mom. Mom called me and confirmed my worst nightmare, that they were gone. I don't know to this day how I didn't fall through the apartment floor. The days after that are a blur. He made me give 3 eulogies at a funeral. I couldn't sleep for 10 weeks until I finally got the proper medication. I also needed medication for depression. No, how was I supposed to get out of bed every day after you made the world so cruel? My anxiety was through the roof. I had to go on medication for that too. I believe something bad is going to happen all the time because the worst are already happened. I have PTSD from it, like nightmares, believing my husband and future kids are going to die, because why wouldn't I? Sorry. Shut. You made me not trust the world. You made working and keeping normalcy very hard. You've made keeping personal relationships hard. Cole Swindell is one of my favorite artists, but can never go to another one of his concerts because I cry like a baby to the song, You Should Be Here Now. You made me lose my best friends. You made me live without a sister and nephews. You ruined my wedding day, not having them there. You've made me watch my parents break into a million pieces. You made me go to therapy. You've caused financial hardship. You made every day hard because there's not a day that goes by that I don't think of them and what you did to them in their own home. How scared they must have been. Kassandra, fear of seeing her children die and knowing she was next. This is something no one ever should have to experience. It is beyond cruel. Your actions on August 3rd, 2022 will affect me every day as long as I live. I just listed some ways you affected me. The list goes on and on. The world was robbed on getting to know Kassandra, Benjamin, and Mason. I couldn't protect my baby sister from you. The world is a darker place without them. Sometimes there's losses that can never be replaced. They live on through my future children. Macy cast for a girl, or a boy named me and Nick can't agree on, but definitely the middle name Benjamin. If we have 2 girls, they will rock the middle name Benny. But enough about us. Eric, let's talk about you. I never understood why you did it. You had a family. You had a home. Look through this room at all the people. Every single one of them. They are here because they loved Cass, Ben, and Mason. Not one of them loves you. Look up. There's no one person here for you. You have no one. No one cares what happens to you or loves you. You are nothing. There's not a punishment significant enough to serve what you did. I honestly wish New Hampshire had the death penalty, because that's what I believe you deserve. I pray every day the judge gives you the sentence as long as humanly possible. You pled guilty, big deal. You lied about it for 3 years. You do not deserve a lenient sentence. You lied, you denied, you killed. You are the most selfish person I've ever met. You are evil. You are a monster. I hope every day in prison is miserable. I hope an inmate makes you scared like you made them scared. I hope your cellmate's name is Bubba and he makes you uncomfortable. Enjoy prison. You know what they do to baby killers. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Turnbull. Why don't we take about a 10-minute break, then we'll resume with the hearing.
All rise for court.